You kind of touched on it a bit earlier, but reflecting on Filecoin Plus and its rollout, is there anything you would do differently or change, or looking forward, things that you would adjust?
Yeah, I mean, I think Filecoin Plus is a really key part of the entire Filecoin economy and how it functions. I think there's, like many systems, there's complexities and constraints and many opinions about how it should develop and how it should grow. I think looking back, I could probably point to any of the projects that I've been involved in, and with hindsight, be able to point out lots of things that I would do differently. What I think is more valuable is to think through like where are the pinpoints now and how we as a community can like orient towards good outcomes. So I'll maybe suggest like 3 or 4 ideas. And I think these are not like new ideas. A lot of the community is kind of talking about these, but I think they're good promising directions. So one is just looking at the current structure and help support and improve how the current system works. There's a lot of people involved in the work of Filecoin Plus to actually meet the demands of the community. It's already working drastically better than it was 6 months ago, 12 months ago, 18 months ago. And I think all of the notaries, all of the groups building dashboards, all of the groups like actually doing the work are super underwater with mountains of work. And so helping figure out how to alleviate that and help create a better structure so that they have the capacity to help, that can vault it into a better spot. So that just means like do what we're doing, but just way better than what we are by increasing the capacity and the bandwidth of all of the groups that are working on it. Step 2 is like experiment with programmatic structures. So there's been a lot of thoughts and ideas floating around in the community around, hey, let's go for like more, now that we have FVM and smart contracts, let's go for more on-chain based ways of doing some of this stuff. And I think that's like a really good direction. And so I think for that, we need a lot of experiments. So what I would love to see there is just a lot of groups trying out some of this and building implementations and shipping them and showing that they actually work really well to figure out, the core problem of distinguishing, kind of like legit data from malicious data. And then kind of the third piece there is thinking of like new economic structures on top. So I think that there's a bunch of ideas floating where people are finding alternatives and structures like Filecoin Plus that create new economic primitives themselves. And so I think there's going to be a whole wave of experiments here too. And I think that could be pretty interesting. Like fundamentally in the long term, what matters for the Filecoin network is that the vast majority of the network itself, like the storage that's on the network, is useful storage, right? So like the Filecoin network is for useful storage, not for just wasted work. So that means we need some set of mechanisms for how to orient the technology itself to help solve that problem of how to distinguish legit data that comes from users versus just wasteful work. Because if you just remove that mechanism, for example, then most of the mining on Filecoin would just be wasted work. It would just be like Bitcoin or Chia or something like that. And there's utility for those kinds of networks to exist in the world, but that's just a different network. That's not Filecoin. And so we need some set of mechanisms to distinguish this. And what those mechanisms are and how they're going to evolve over time is kind of up to us to figure out. I would expect a lot of experiments are needed to figure out better structures. What I do see a lot is a lot of people with opinions and complaints, but very few actual experiments or attempts at doing something better. So I would say, let's channel all that energy into trying to build better solutions, because there's a lot of complaining and not a lot of action. And so, I don't know, that's my 2 cents.